Clicking record. Okay, so I keep clicking the wrong buttons. It's like I am a newbie at this or something. It's like I didn't spend months doing it online for teaching during COVID. But I want to say welcome to our coach info session. And if you're hopping on here live, I see we have a few people hopping on live. Maybe you're watching the recording, but I'm excited because coaching has been something that has been near and dear to my heart for a while now. I've been a coach for 3 years. In March, which is crazy to think March is so close. I can't believe it's the end of 2021, but coaching has been something that's been very life-giving, and I'm going to keep this info super basic because I don't think there's a ton of details that are super important to deciding if you want to become a coach or not. I'm going to kind of give you the basics, what we do, all that. My coaches who are on here, they're going to share a little bit about why they like coaching, and then I'm going to open it up to any questions. And I'm a teacher, right? And so I'm going to give you the whole no question's a stupid question. And if you have that question, someone else probably has that question too. So I'm going to tonight, I want to keep it short and sweet. I know we're all busy, and I want to kind of give you more so of like what it entails more so than all the details, because you can always learn those later or have more of a one-on-one meeting with the coach that invited you here. I have to cough. Excuse me. Okay, so to get started, okay, I should probably introduce myself because obviously some of you know me, some of you, I might be your coach, but I'm Brianna. I live in the middle of nowhere, South Dakota, in a town of 400 people, which maybe some of you are like, wow, that's big. I live in a town of 100 people. Or some of you are like, I didn't even know towns existed that were that small. Me either. I grew up in a town of 30,000. Grew up, went to South Dakota State University, got my degree in agricultural education, met my husband who drugged me out here for his job. He's a feed mill manager and makes primarily beef feed, chicken feed, pig feed, that kind of stuff. But anyways, I've coached for 3 years. You can tell my brain's Jess's face. It's like, you just said 3 years. My brain's not working. 3 years, and it has been super fun. And we're going to dive into that further. But how I kind of got started was I was watching people on Instagram and I was like, I really need to get in shape because I was at my lowest point. We just moved out to the middle of nowhere, 6.5 hours from my family. And I felt so isolated and felt like I really didn't have any friends out here. And I just was so depressed and started with the 21-day fix. I really loved it. And within a week, I decided to become a coach because I was like, if I feel this good doing these workouts, I need to help others do them too, because it completely pulled me out of the dark. So that's a little bit about my coaching story. But what the heck is coaching, right? So that's kind of why we're here. In the simplest terms, so I have slides to kind of guide us, but they're pretty basic because I don't want to overload with information, and I can talk for years. Everyone knows that I'm a talker. In simple terms, it's pretty much getting, and I already have a typo. Goodness gracious. It is getting in the best shape of your life while helping others too. And so I was never into sports. Like, I played sports for 2 years, then I quit to do FFA stuff. And I really never felt like into sports. I would have never considered myself athletic by any means. I sucked at all sports. I teach in a really small school, and my students ask me like, oh, did you play on varsity? Because in my school, like, if you breathe, you play on varsity, like in the school I teach in now. My high school was big. There were 250 kids a class. So you actually had to like be good to play. And so my kids are always like, well, did you play varsity? I was like, no, honeys, no. I think I lettered because I spent in my sport, you had to play 3 minutes of a varsity game to like be considered a varsity player. And I think I was put in once because we didn't have enough girls in the rotation. And so they had to put me in to like give other girls a break. And so never considered myself athletic. but now I would consider myself athletic because I found workouts that worked for me. And that's why I'm so passionate about it, because for me, going to the gym is not an option. Like I live 25 minutes away from the closest gym. When I student taught, they're like, well, you can get a gym membership at the school, like at the school, and work out there. I'm like, I am not working out with my high school students, like not happening. And then I found these at-home workouts where I was like, oh, like I can manage. When I started, I'm like, I can manage buying like, I think what 8-pound or 5-pound dumbbells at Walmart were like $5 a piece. I'm like, I can handle that. So it's kind of where I started. And then I learned like it was really fun. So it was fun doing it by myself, but then I got my best friend to start with me. So I was like, okay, like this is even more cool. Like we're doing it together, getting in shape together. And then I got another person, and it just kind of kept building to this point where it's like, I get to, you get to work with other people who are reaching those goals too. And I love teaching. I love doing all that. And this is like a different outlet because you're working with people who want to work with you, right? Like it's not, if you're a teacher or maybe you work in education, you know, like sometimes getting people to learn is like pulling teeth because they don't really want to be there, but they have to be. Whereas like this is so different because it's like someone who wants your help and is asking for help. And so it just is a lot. To me, it was an outlet that was really life-giving because I wasn't trying to like drag students to be as passionate as me. And I know like Sarah's a fellow FFA advisor and ag teacher, and like we are so passionate about it. And then you try, like you have that kid who's like, I'm just here because I need a credit. And you're like, ah. And so I just really like being able to teach people about a healthier lifestyle from a point of view like, you don't have to have any health and fitness background because we don't provide any of the health training, right? Like we simply plug people into resources that they can utilize in order to get healthy. And our job, to be honest, our job as a coach isn't to make sure they get fit. It's to make sure that they have an accountability partner, that they have someone who can help them, that they have someone knowledgeable about the programs that can say like, oh, you really hate cardio? Okay, then you probably shouldn't do XYZ program that's literally all cardio based. Or you know, like, oh, your knees, like you have bad knees, let's look at some low impact workouts, right? So coaching, I think people get really scared because they're like, well, I don't have a health and fitness background. You don't need a health and fitness background. The only background you really need is a willingness to help others and care for others, which every person on this call has that. And so that's the big thing with coaching. So the thing too is, are you ready to get more accountable? I find that people, it's kind of interesting because people tell me, you know, like, well, I don't work out every day, or sometimes I fall off the wagon or whatever. But the thing is it's like coaching and being a coach makes you way more accountable, because how can you expect other people to show up if you're not showing up? And Jess can chime in here, but I would be willing to bet money if I said, if she wasn't a coach, I don't know, because Jess is pregnant right now. And her first pregnancy, she stopped working out. Like, I don't know, if she wasn't a coach, do you think you would be working out during this pregnancy? Or would you have kind of went with your first pregnancy where you're like, meh?
Yeah, no, I probably wouldn't be, because I wouldn't have, like, I'm not a huge community person. So like I wouldn't have felt super connected if I never started coaching, because I actually got connected with the coaches on our team and the people in our group.
Mm-hmm.
So the connected is what really kept me going. And without coaching, I wouldn't have been that connected to all of these people. So yeah, otherwise I would have just been like, I'm just gonna slump into the couch.
Yeah, it makes it a lot harder to be a fly on the wall, right? In a fly on a wall in the challenge group or stuff like that. It makes it harder to do that because you know that people are watching you and people are expecting you to work out, which is fine. It's kind of a good thing because it kind of pushes you. But a lot of people they're concerned that they're not working out enough to be a coach. And it's like, but honestly, I tell people, and they think I'm crazy, if you want to work out more and you want to be more accountable, then you honestly should be a coach, because it really makes you level up and makes you show up for yourself so you can show up for others. Next, I wanted to talk about like, what do we actually do as a coach then? Like, what is the nitty gritty? What is like the actual behaviors we do as a coach, right? Because we kind of have talked about what a coach is and stuff like that. But when you are a coach, what do you sign up to do? So first is personal development, which I have never worked for a company or had a job where they have literally said the number one thing you need to do is work on yourself. You need to find a program that works for you, that you get results with. You need to find personal development that helps you grow and be a better person. Even on we have this thing called a tracker, like a Success Club tracker. And on there is that you spend time reading a book, listening to an audiobook, a podcast to better your life. And I just think of teaching where they, and I love the teaching industry kind of, and they tell you, Sarah's laughing because it's like, I mean, I do, but it's so hypocritical because it's like, you need to take care of yourself. You need to learn, you need to grow. But then it's like, okay, so when am I supposed to do that? Like what time? And it's like, well, go to this personal development, go to this conference, go do this, go do that, go do that. And then you just find at these conferences, it's all about how do you teach better? How do you do this better? How do you, do this classroom management? None of it is actually about like how you become a better person. It's all about how you manage the classroom better, or you are better for your students, but not really for yourself. So I really like that piece. Number 2 is proof of the products. So, you utilize the programs, because that'd be like if, they say, what is the quote about a chef? If a chef is skinny, like don't trust his cooking. I don't know. Does anyone know that one? Okay, Sarah's kind of with me. That right? They say like the food must not be good from a skinny chef because he never eats his own food, right? Okay, and I want to back up because I'm not saying you have to be skinny to be a coach or built, and have muscle to be a coach. What I'm saying is that you have to use and know about the products to be a good coach. And so, you need to show the transformation of the products and the programs and what they do for your life. So that doesn't have to be always a physical transformation. That can also be an emotional transformation. Like my biggest glow up was my mental health, and is my mental health still, is how it's different from before I worked out and was coaching to now. To like, how does I think of like proof of the programs, proof of the products, all that kind of stuff, right? I mean, another example is like, doing the workouts and stuff like that, because I also think of like, I have a lot of people who pop up in my feed on makeup. Well, like I would be a really terrible makeup saleswoman because I barely wear makeup. Like it's a miracle if I get mascara on my face. And so it's like, you just got to be showing what you're doing. And so I want to go with another objection there on number 2, proof of the products. Another thing is people say like, well, I'm not where I want to be. Like when I lose 20 pounds, then I'll be a coach. No, you got to start, because honestly, people want to follow the journey, and it's more of a like, come with me, let's link arms, let's do this together, instead of a like, here's me in my little bikini body. Now, like you can get from where you are to where you want to be, but it's honestly harder. I shouldn't even say that it's harder either, but people want to follow you on the journey. I just don't want anyone to think that you have to be or look a certain way before you can be successful, because that's a total complete lie. If you look up the 200 most successful coaches in Beachbody, they will be every shape, every size, every hair color, every eye color, skin color, all of that. Number 3 is connect and invite others. Some people find this to be the most terrifying part, right? Because social media and stuff, but it's essentially making new friends, connecting with people of like interests. So a lot of times I'm connecting with other women in agriculture, other people in education. I'm talking to people who have a love for FFA. And then once they start interacting with me and start talking with me, then we invite them to what we're doing. If you follow me on social media, you see, or any of these ladies, you see us post polls on our stories, or maybe it's that person who I see every time I post a workout post is liking it. Well, then I'm just going to say, hey, have you ever thought about this? Because, if you're going to a barbecue, or if you're hosting a barbecue or a birthday parties, or think of a New Year's party, right? If I post on Facebook that I'm having a New Year's party, is Jess going to come to my New Year's party? Probably not, because she's like, man, wasn't really like, I just saw it on Facebook. But if I message Jess and I say, hey, Jess, like, what do you got going on New Year's? Like, do you want to come to my New Year's party? Jess is probably a lot more likely to come to my New Year's party because I personally invited her and she sees that I want her there, right? We all like to be personally invited to things, because if someone just puts out a big thing for everyone, we don't think it applies to us. And then number 4 is get people results. And so this means once you get people signed up, you're going to help them stay accountable. You're going to help them with questions they have. You're going to help plug them into programs, and then you're going to cheer them on, which is honestly my favorite part, is getting to cheer people on, getting to help them with their goals, and watching them be excited and reach their goals. So that's kind of the 4 main things we do. And there's more detail to them too, but that's the basics. So I just really liked this quote. The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams, because we've talked about it a lot lately in our team, that so coaching for a lot of us has become this gateway to our other dreams and our other aspirations and goals. So for example, I 100% believe that if I didn't coach, I probably wouldn't have had the guts to start my own boutique. Jess has talked about like her leaving her job and getting to start her home baking and being a stay-at-home mom, right? Like coaching kind of gave her the confidence to be like, this is what I want to do. I know that this is my passion, so I'm going to go for it, right? So I think coaching is really beautiful, because I've kind of reflected on how this might not be the end all be all that changes our lives, is the coaching side of things, but it's going to open so many doors to other opportunities and help us really hone in and believe in ourselves and gain some confidence in knowing that things we set our mind to, goals we set, we can definitely accomplish them. That's at least been a big piece that I am bringing with me into 2022 in this opportunity. So the benefits of coaching, there's a few things. I kind of broke these down into a few categories, and there's a lot, right? So first is community. Jess kind of touched on this, but the coaching community has been a community like none other, because it's essentially surrounding yourself with people who are go-getters, who are encouraging and support you, which has been very beneficial, because it doesn't really matter what it is. If it's a pregnancy, it's a marriage, it's starting a new adventure, whatever. These are some of the most supportive people I've ever met. And it's kind of fun because they really push you. And I have never worked somewhere where they really pushed me to chase my dreams and pushed me to become a better human being. Most of my jobs are just like, you show up, you do your job, and you go home. Like, that's what it is. It's not, okay, so that's great, you did XYZ, but what comes next? And, stuff like that. The second one is, income. So you do receive commissions for, it is a network marketing company, right? So it's like your Mary Kay or whatever, right? You earn an income while helping others. So when they sign up, when you build your team, that kind of stuff, which has been really fun. And there's also other prizes, hats, tank tops, bags, trips. I'm going to actually in January, I'm going to Las Vegas for the New Leader Conference and stuff like that. So that's paid for. Besides, I had to pay for my flight. And then Shane and I, and then Angie, who's on our team, and Shane's cousin and her husband, we're going to Punta Cana on the Success Club trip in March. So it's just been really fun to kind of have those different incentives where, like, I don't think I could ever convince my husband to pay for a tropical trip. Like, I'm wondering what Sarah had to bribe her husband with to go to Hawaii. Like, what farm equipment did you promise him, or what? Because
Pearl Harbor. He wanted to see Pearl Harbor, and did you not? He was like, I wonder if I can write this off on taxes if we find a John Deere place and go visit it.
If we visited John Deere, that's a farmer for you. Always wondering where the tax deduction comes in.
Absolutely.
Oh God. So yeah, because like Shane's not a big traveler, but that's been really fun. Or even the pictures you saw, like the picture on the last slide, that was a trip we went on to Arizona. That was a part of a leadership retreat incentive that our upline did. So that was fun. There's just a lot of benefits that are like fun trips or things like hats. Kind of talked about that. Tank tops. I have a few other things, sweatshirts. They do some big prizes. I can't remember what the big prize is. This year it's Ray-Bans, but I can't remember what next year's is already. And then self-improvement, I think, is the biggest benefit of coaching. it is not monetary. You cannot place it on a scale of what you get from it, but you get in the best shape of your life and you become better for your family, and you really gain confidence is the big one. I would say my confidence, even in the classroom, like being able to, in my jobs, being able to speak to other people, stuff like that, because like things like this don't even get me nervous anymore. I used to be terrified to talk in front of people, but now it's simple and I know how to communicate effectively. And so a lot of self-improvement has just come from coaching that has no monetary value whatsoever. Some excuses, or I call them excuses, right? That's what I tell my students all the time. And one of them is like, Brianna, but I don't know what I'm doing, so I don't like know if I'd be a good coach. And the thing is you're given everything you need. We have a ton of resources. We're there every step of the way. We have group chats, we have team pages, we have Google Drives, we have all this stuff with info. And then you also have your team and your upline to help walk you through it, right? So you get our team and we mentor you, we help you. Like even the other day, someone dropped in a chat, like, well, does anyone know, someone asked me for more details. What do I say? And then we talked about it and walked it through. And then the other excuse a lot of times is like, I'm not good with social media. I don't post on social media. And again, that's something super simple you can learn. A lot of us did not post on social media the way we do now, right? I posted like once a month before I became a coach. I never posted on stories. It's actually kind of fun to scroll back and see like what stories I used to post. And yeah, it was like once a week, maybe I posted on my stories. So it's all things you can learn, which is super fun. And I find social media now a super fun outlet. I love TikTok. I love Reels. I just think it's super fun. And so there's not really a great excuse. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to, if anyone has questions, you can either drop them in the chat, you can message me privately on the chat, or you can drop them in there or whatever. If you don't have any questions, that's okay too. I'm going to give it a few seconds for questions. Anyone have questions? Anybody? What is the movie? Bueller? Anybody? Okay. I'm going to stop my share so we can see people's faces. I'm going to have Jess and Sarah, whoever wants to go first, just if you could give like 30 to 60 seconds, doesn't have to be long, a little bit about you, coaching journey, and why you love coaching.
I'll go first because I kind of had some things, as she was saying, to like that I wanted to add in there. And so like one is like the stories that a lot of us post. We record our workouts and then we make this fancy video and we put it on there. For the whole first like year that I did the whole coaching thing, I did not do any of that at all. I was lucky if every day I just posted like my sweaty selfie on my story and just kind of a little like sentence or two about like what my workout was. Like I did not post my workouts for the longest time. And the only reason I started posting the videos was because it's a good outlet to be able to write a little bit more motivation, because obviously it's normally like 2 or 3 slides long, and so I feel like I can let my heart out more when I post my whole videos versus just one picture. So I mean, if you're seeing what we're doing on social media, don't feel like that's what you have to do, because that's not it at all. A lot of the other girls in our team that are like way higher up, like they're not even posting on their stories anymore. And secondly, don't get discouraged if like your closest friends or your closest family members aren't the people who sign up with you, because the people who signed up with me in my first like month or two when I started the whole journey were not even people that I was super close with. It was just people who were in the same boat as me at first. And still to this day, like my best of friends are not the ones who do this with me. I finally have my mom doing it with me, but other than that, like my closest of family don't do this with me. But anyways, on to my next statement I was going to say, that I guess like, so, yeah, so buying the products, we can talk a little bit more about that too. it's kind of one of those things you want to eventually get to that point. I also did not buy Energize or Recover, any of that. And so like way into this whole journey, because I wanted to save money. I mean, heck, the original reason why I started the whole coaching thing was for the discount. Straight up, completely honest, that is how it was sold to me, that I wanted the discount. And so now there's since the actual preferred customer. And so instead of just being like a discount coach, you can be a preferred customer as well. But honestly, you might as well be a coach, because if there's somebody else who you're just like talking about this journey and you're like, hey, you can do this too, you might as well set them up to do it with you, so that you have that extra accountability and so that you can get a little bit more bang for that buck. So maybe at first you're not doing the Energize, you're not doing the Shakeology, that is completely fine. But over time, you definitely want to get onto that so that you can stay an active coach. The biggest reason why I kind of got into that was there was a month that came along that there was promo codes, and I realized, why didn't I get promo codes? And it was because I wasn't an active coach. So you want to make sure you're at least at a minimum just buying Shakeology every month. And I make sure to change my flavors every month so that I kind of have a stash of like every single one of the flavors. But anyways, and then so like I just cannot stress enough like how much more accountability it's kept me over the years. I am definitely like money savvy in the sense of I want to get the most bang for my buck. I'm sure my husband's sitting out in the living room hearing me say that and saying like that is an understatement, because I save on everything. And so the fact that I would trip over $1 to save a penny. That's what he just said. Anyways, and so the fact that I'm paying an extra $15 every single month means that I'm going to work my butt off and I'm going to make sure I get my money's worth. So, I think that goes for a lot of people in the sense of they say like, I just can't afford it every month. Well, can you afford going to the doctors in a couple of years when your health isn't as good as it can be? It's just a choice we make.
That's awesome. I completely forgot to mention a benefit of coaching is the 25% discount. Cause yeah, and if you get Shakeology, like, I know, Kirsten, you get Shakeology, and like, so right now, if you get it auto shipped, it's like 130 a month or 140 maybe after tax. As a coach, I pay $100. Like I think it's 104 or something after shipping. So I mean, there you're saving $30 a month, which again, you look at if you get it every month, yeah, you're saving the like $20, but then so Jess, do you want to share a little bit?
Sure. So I started coaching in spring of 2020, right, Brianna?
Yeah, literally, I watch these TikToks that are like, it's like once I was 7 years old, and it's all about like COVID, when COVID started, and like now, how old are you? And one today was like 17 to like 20, whatever. And I was like, all my years, I don't know. Like, what year did this all even start? I don't know what's going on. I don't know what.
I have had to stop using like 2 years ago and 3 years ago, because then I'm like, well, eventually I'm going to forget how many years ago it was. I need to just start talking about year. So, but yeah, I started coaching in April of 2020, I believe, because I was a feedlot assistant manager, worked in the feedlots, and I was working a crap ton of hours. And then I met my wonderful husband and we got pregnant, and I was like, oh shit. I swore, I'm sorry. I've always wanted to be mom to my humans. What am I going to do? So I was in a really dark place, like lots of depression because hormones, but also because like it was like more extenuating than that. Like I knew what I wanted and I felt like I couldn't have it. And then Brianna was coaching and I kind of knew her through college. And I watched her for a long time. And then I was home during COVID. I worked from home for the feedlots with my daughter because I was scared, to be honest. I was scared of COVID and because I wanted to be with her. And I was sitting on the couch with her one day with my computer, and she was sitting in her little Bobby lounger next to me. And I like messaged Brianna, like, what would I even talk about? Like, what would I even help people with? She's like, mom things. I don't know. And I think I was just like set on it from then out. It just was like a light at the end of the tunnel. Like it was just it was a light for me to do something for myself. And it's been like a light switch ever since I started coaching. I became a coach. I just kept rolling with programs, and I think I just started taking messy action right away and figured it out as I went. And like Brianna talked about already, confidence and the self-improvement is like, I'd say confidence and self-improvement and the friendships is the biggest thing that I love about coaching. She had that picture. We went to Arizona in June, and holy crap, that was like a trip of my dreams that I never thought would really happen. And it was amazing. It was so much fun. And the people that I got to spend time with, they all like, we all believe in each other so much and believe the best in each other. And it's been a totally different vibe than the vibe I have had of people around me my entire life. Midwesterners can be really judgmental. Have you ever noticed that, Brianna? Like very harsh. I don't know.
There's like Minnesota nice, but also secretly very judgy. Like
yeah.
Midwesterners are nice, but like they have their opinions. And if you don't check the boxes, then you're not.
And I grew up, I think I just like eventually let that in. So these people have just given me life, like made me feel like I'm actually a decent human and I can do things. And she touched on it. Like, so I've sprouted off and done my home baking and all the things that I can do and just make them my own. I think that's the cool thing about coaching too, is you can make it as big as you want it to be, or you can just kind of make it for fun and enjoy the relationships and all the stuff that comes with it. So
I love that. And I think this is just a testimony of, because like I literally get emotional thinking, like I was so scared to post my workouts. I was so scared because I will tell you to the nines, I was someone who used to make fun of Beachbody coaches. My husband's ex-girlfriend is very, very, very successful Beachbody coach, very successful. Okay. And I would make fun of Beachbody coaches all the time and be like, look at them posting their cool workouts. Look at them looking all cute in that bikini. Like, ugh. But I was so jealous. It took me so long to learn, like I was so mean about it because I wanted that confidence and I wanted those friendships and I wanted those trips and stuff just so bad that it turned me into a mean girl. And so I just look at like what Sarah said and what Jess said. And I just think about like, if I wouldn't have got over myself and I wouldn't have been like, well, now I'm digging the foot out of my mouth. Like if I wouldn't have got over the fear of posting, the fear of talking to people, like I wouldn't have provided that opportunity for Sarah and Jess. And maybe they would have found it somewhere else. But like Jess had Beachbody before and like had the same opportunities presented to her before. But for some reason with me, it clicked. And that might be people in your life too, right? There may be people in your life who have used Beachbody before, they use Beachbody now, but they just don't have that person that like clicks with them and is right for them in that group that's right for them. So I think the biggest benefit of coaching is right here, knowing like that you're able to directly see lives be changed because you had the courage to try something and put yourself out there. So if you have any other questions, feel free to drop them in the chat or talk about them. If you're watching the recording and you have questions, reach out to any of us. You can do that as well. But I'm going to let it. Any other questions? Otherwise, I really thank you guys for hopping on. This is my passion. I love it. And so I'm excited that you hopped on or that you watched the recording so that I could share a little bit with you. And so definitely I'll see you guys later. Have a happy new year. I can't believe tomorrow is the last day in 2021. Goodbye, another crappy year. Hopefully it was a good year, but like still all the COVID cred. That's what I mean by crappy. But 2022 is gonna be good. So good night, everyone. I will see you later.